Ciao a tutti. Hi everybody, this is Flavia from T293 and here we are for this week's live chat. And I'm very proud and happy to be here today because we are announcing, introducing the work of the Afghan artist Hangama Amiri, which will be on view at the gallery next November. So let's wait for her to connect and we will start this incredible talk. Hello, hi
Hello.
Angama. Hi, how are you?
It worked. I'm doing really great. How are you, Flavia?
I'm great. Thank you
Sounds
very
good.
much for being here today with us
Well,
to
thank you so
talk
much for having
about
me here. This
your,
is awesome.
yeah.
Of course.
Uh,
Please.
so let me introduce you a bit before
Sure.
we start, and
Uh-huh.
then you, of course, you talk about your projects. So,
Sounds good.
so you are an Afghan Canadian refugee woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your work, you base your work on your personal diaspora, using mainly textile as a mean, right?
Right.
To investigate the politics of gender and Islamic
Mm-hmm.
culture mainly, while celebrating the feminine subjects that have been
Mm-hmm.
that have been deemed taboo.
Of course.
So you mainly use fabrics in your practice that you find in New York, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they are all they are originated from India and Afghanistan, right? They are from,
India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Yeah.
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 So you create these seductive compositions, which I find super, they are really incredible.
Thank you.
In which you stitch and you sew various types of textiles,
Mm-hmm.
fabrics, and clothing as a way to celebrate the Afghan women and their identities and their identities and visual
Mm-hmm.
art, right? While being in a Occidental environment. So you're currently based in New Haven, right, in
I
Connecticut,
am. I am, yes. Behaving.
and you just graduated, right? So
I did.
congratulations at the
Thank you so
Yale.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
So yeah, I would like to start the conversation with your background, your
Yeah.
if you can talk a bit about your personal experience and uh, talk about your
Sure.
background a bit.
I would
Just
love to. I would love to talk about that. I could talk about where am I from and how did I came up into arts and
yeah,
education maybe too.
yes, that would be
Um,
great.
sure. All I can start is that I was actually born in the refugee camps in Peshawar, Pakistan, back in
Okay,
1989. I guess that was then when Afghanistan was during the civil war, so a lot of families were migrating into their neighboring countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran. So I guess my mom had me during those times, but I opened my eyes in Kabul city. So pretty
okay,
much I call myself as an Afghan artist, so I'm from Afghanistan. It was in 1996 that when the Taliban took power of the Kabul city, we fled Afghanistan and we went to Pakistan again, and we lived there for several years. From there, we were again, I mean, like free refugees, let's say. And then
okay,
after that, we we were refugee again in Dushanbe, Tajikistan, which is another neighboring country in Central Asia. And in
okay,
Dushanbe, Tajikistan, we were there until 2005 that we got immigrated to Canada. But it was in Tajikistan and in Pakistan that my fond and my inspiration for art grew, because
okay,
making art, it was always in me as a very young girl.
okay,
I used to love drawing my dreams, my journeys, let's say, a lot of like surreal kind of imageries as well, like very dreamy stuff.
Okay.
So
So since you can remember, you
yeah,
draw, you put into art, yeah, your
exactly.
personal experience. Okay.
Exactly. Um, and it was in Tajikistan that we were also, supported by UNICEF, and this
Okay.
UNICEF, program had an art competition for young people,
Okay.
and I decided to enter my painting, and the theme was like about peace and about hope in war-zone countries, and mine was from Afghanistan. So I represented something that was very meaningful. I still remember those imagery that I did. And luckily that painting got first prize in this art competition.
Well,
And the
how
scholarship,
old? How old were you?
I was
Uh,
very young. I'm going to be honest, I was grade 8.
oh my God, that's amazing.
I was grade 8. I was still in school. School Samanyan, it used to call. It was Afghani school. But yeah, when I got this scholarship, so it led me to go to this college of art. It was used to call Alim of College of Art in Dushanbe, Tajikistan. So it was very academic, and I learned a lot of skills in drawing and painting and collage making. So I became very serious earlier on. Like I was grade
Okay.
8. I was still doing my schoolwork, but then at the same time I was doing arts, and I was the youngest student in the university too. So it was quite like a amazing stage to
Prodigious
be.
child.
Yeah, as a very like a young, not too young, but like teen, let's say. Um, but I became very serious in this. I told myself that I think this is it, like art will be for me forever.
Okay.
So we came to Canada in 2005, and I did my undergrad at Mascot University. It's
Okay.
in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, it's called. In 2012, I graduated from there, and after that, I took pretty much five to 6 years off and did a lot of residency programs.
Okay.
Been outside, not only residency programs in Canada, but also went back to my country, even in Afghanistan, and that's few visits there to do art projects there. And I also did residency in Europe and Eastern European countries as well. And then I also was a Canadian Fulbright in 2015 and 16. So I decided to do my research or my independent research program at Yale University. It was a different program called the Council of East Asian Studies that kind of related, or the courses that I was auditing was very much related to my,
Your
subject of
background.
interest.
Okay.
Exactly. So being in here in 2015, it allowed me to check out the School of Arts, the Yale School of Arts, because I had a friend there too who used to go here, and he actually would allow me to see the critiques on Tuesdays, and I was just so I was really fascinated to
Inspired.
see, and very encouraging, yeah, to see like how people were so serious and how they were so critical about their work, and how this like the body of the students and the body of faculties, they were very critically engaged and that platform. So I decided that like I want to see my work in here too someday. So that's why I decided to come back, and I took another year off to build my portfolio,
Okay.
do another residency programs, and here I am here.
Just graduated.
Just graduated. It feels finished, but it's not finished.
It's not finished. It's only the
Because of
beginning.
exactly. It's also
I'm
because
sure.
of the pandemic. So for me, it's kind of not finished, but it's okay. I mean, everyone goes through this, situation too.
Yeah.
So I'm here in my studio space in New Haven.
New Haven.
It's a very
Yeah.
sweet space here. Yeah. So far, so good. Let's say, and I'm
Great.
very happy to be here and keep making work what I do and just continue my studio practice.
Great. It's amazing.
Thank
So
you. I
as
was
we already as you already talked about, you mainly use fabrics and textiles in your works, right? So I would like to talk about that a bit. So you not only use them as a material, but you create your compositions sewing them, right?
Right.
So I would like to ask, what's the importance of sewing for you, and what's the relationship with this material, specific material, and how did you arrive at choosing it for your as your way to communicate. So I'm very curious about it.
Sure, I really like this question actually. I would say that textile or fabric is not my, definitely not my only medium, but like at the
Okay.
moment it is,
Mm-hmm.
because I came
Yeah,
as a teacher.
you
You see
already did
painting.
paintings, video arts, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Performance pieces
Perfect.
and all that. But something about stitching or something about the using the tools of like sewing or needle, it became very metaphoric in my practice. And not only how it works or how I was kind of at the beginning very uncomfortable but very excited to experiment with this, but also because my relationship with pattern and with textile was already into my painting. I was always drawn to somehow paint fabrics of those cultural materials that's related to my
Okay.
childhood memories or my grown-ups in Central Asian country, and those fabrics that were actually worn by women of those cultures. So I was always into representing or bringing those representation into my paintings. But something that painting was not giving me was that the materiality of painting. It's just it made me really frustrated when I was
It's
into
always flat.
maybe
Even if you are
sometimes I guess
super, yeah.
I guess I was really drawn to like the texture more, because since I'm always working from memory and painting was always a smooth, it always smoothed the surface for me. So I guess I wanted to touch the paint, like, like to touch the material and to feel the material. And so slowly I started beginning actually cutting fabrics and stitching it into my canvases.
Including them in your work.
Exactly. And then I started like stitching. I started stitching by hand. I guess like that process became so metaphoric too, because not only like a needle, using a needle, it united so many stories that I was interested. It united so many fragmented kind of stories for me in order to make a whole image. So it was so metaphoric for me, let's say. And I just began exploring more of this. I learned sewing in my year at Yale. I learned how to do my own methods of like gathering these pieces of fabric together. And these fabrics are not only fabrics from everywhere, but they actually have context. They actually have content, and
They
they
came
actually
from
have a
somewhere
geography.
important.
Yeah, it actually comes somewhere important. Friends from India, bring it into my studio. Friends from Afghanistan send it to me. So they do mean a lot to me when I use them or when I cut them. But I'm also gonna say that my relationship to this was also that as an artist, I've always been interested in the ideas and the word, such as fragmentation. Fragmentation relates to my work a lot. I think about fragmentation a lot because
As your life story, maybe also
yeah,
as a metaphor.
it's because like for me, also like the frame of a canvas that I was working, it was really frustrated for me because I never wanted to be always in the box and
That
the frame
limit.
exactly, it was very limited for me. And for me, I was really interested because since I'm working from memory, and memory never has, for working from memory, a memory doesn't have a perfect edge. So I became very much interested in the perfect edges. And that's why I took the canvas away and left the frame away.
And only the
But
material is
exactly,
now
so that,
showing.
absolutely. So that's why like my work has always these exciting, I guess for me, they're so exciting. They have these unperfect kind of edges, and they become like a piece of a fragment, but the whole piece is within it. And this is all the action of just a needle that could do so much for me. And it actually connected so much of myself and my expression into my practice. So it's a very metaphoric thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that question.
No, it's great. It's super interesting, this concept of taking out at the canvas your the images now, not only to see it in a box, but to expand it in your works. And we will see a bit in a bit a peek of them. Their edges, they're always imperfect, right? They're not like a square or a rectangle. but I guess this is always is also a really interesting part in your works. They are installations, right? They are not.
Thank you.
You, you're not. You cannot say they are only paint. They are not paintings, of course, but they are so powerful, like the way they stand in this place, in the
Thank
space.
you. I really appreciate. Yeah, I guess I'm these days I'm very much interested how these textile pieces could actually be, or actually take the space of architecture, take the space of wide
Yeah,
space. That's why most of my works are also very scale based. It's
yeah.
very big. You can't put it in a small
In
gallery.
this boat, no.
But somehow
That's
it's
why
like a
I'm
museum.
really,
So
really excited to
there's a
see.
mission there.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited to see the works here at the gallery, how they will stand in the space, which is really huge.
Yes.
So I'm super curious about it.
I'm also very excited to see how I could manage this physical work there and just,
It's
try to
challenge to.
make a definitely, yeah, make a like a kind of like like transform the space so how people could or have a conversation with the work,
to
how they
feel,
interact with
feel it inside, right?
definitely.
To
Uh-huh.
in a way enter the environments that you you propose to the viewer, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we already talked about that, how you create those landscapes using fabrics, but they are not only beautiful landscapes, they are also filled with political and social problematics, right? And you focus your attention on the role of women in this culture, as you represent mostly women-dominated spaces, right, or indoor or outdoor spaces. As an Afghan woman currently living in the US, do you feel responsible to raise this awareness? And if you could talk about your relationship and you're interested in this subject and this thematic, would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, 1,000%. I'm I'm always interested as an artist to bring contemporary Afghan women voices in my visual work, in my practice. Not only in my practice, but somehow find a way or create a platform for them so that way to speak in the art context. Or I guess I'm gonna say that I'm interested in history making and making history for them, not only print their names, but actually bring them in museum spaces. It's something that we don't see much or we don't hear much about, contemporary life settings or the social roles of Afghan women in visual art, let's say,
Yeah.
from this perspective. So I hope, like, as an artist, it's like one of my mission and one of my goal that I wake up every day, think about it, how to make that platform for them. So definitely, wherever I am, I always think about this subject matter. It's because it's also very personal and very political as well. It's yeah.
It's all
Thank you.
together in your work. You mixed everything, right? Political and the personal and the macro and the micro, if you
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now I installed this piece. It might be very related to what we are talking about. I
yeah,
could
if
show
you
you
could
guys.
show it, would
Ah,
be
sure.
amazing, really.
No worries. Yeah, I will just turn this.
I believe everybody is curious to see
Oh yeah,
the
this is like a very small studio that I have. This is some new work that is still in progress. It's actually for the show in Rome.
oh,
But
the
this is a
peak.
studio space, and I actually have this work installed for now. It's a little bit larger work, but it's a panoramic, and it just goes all the way to the end of the other.
It's a beauty salon, right?
It's a beauty salon. It's called Bahar Beauty Salon. Bahar is actually a
Bahar.
female name, and
Okay.
it's actually based on my recent visit of Afghanistan 2012. In the summer of 2012, I became very fascinated to be in these spaces and spaces of like beautification. And I've seen so many women, they are beautifying themselves in these, you know, public spaces, but also very, you know, private, that only women could go there and join, you know, and I mean, like, unite within their own community, I guess. So I have a lot of cousins, and most of them were marrying, you know, back then. So
Oh,
I had a lot of chance to go with them.
and see the
So it was,
process.
yeah, see the process and see the environment, just sit with them. So, for example, the scene starts as a waiting room, and
Okay.
slowly shifts in here that they are like making, you know, cosmetical kind of
Procedures.
procedures, exactly, and self-care and self-treat, and then this piece also has another piece in here which I couldn't fit in here, and it's a
They're
picture of soldier
huge.
that is standing. Yeah,
Okay.
and it was
Maybe
interesting.
I can show
What's that, sir?
because I it's this one, right?
Yes, it's this one. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's this one.
So you
So
can have
that's
the idea. Yeah.
exactly. So that soldier that's actually holding a gun, but the gun is actually disappearing. It's actually references because no matter what, how we define these spaces or these, you know, cultural spaces, but at the same time, they always live in a war zone country. So there's always like a soldier or a guardian, you know, protecting these things, you know, protecting these spaces or protecting women. Because when I was there, a lot of like wealthy women would be in the salons, but they always had a guard or like a security guard outside of these spaces.
But each woman?
So yeah, women, yeah, especially like wealthy women or, you know,
Okay.
from like wealthy family. So I was really interested to see those things in this work, and that's how I added. In my fabrics, like this specifically woman who is sitting and is actually gazing towards us, she is the only figure that has or wearing a traditional Afghani clothes. These are actually cut and stitched, and they're all handmade
Can
embroidery
you
fabrics. Go
get
closer?
go
Yeah, sure,
closer?
sure. It's
It
very
would be nice to
textural.
see the material.
Yeah, and they always use these little glasses as protecting the evil eye, I guess.
Whoa.
But they're really meaningful. They're like Afghani dresses or Pashtun dresses that they wear. It's one of the traditional ones. So she is a bride in this piece in the center. And my other fabrics are, most of them are very found, and most of them are bought in here, as I mentioned, in New York City, which I go a lot. And this piece is that there's not only fabric, but I'm also interested adding actual books, actual photograph,
Oh,
and
okay. So
stitching
there are
them.
actual objects
Yeah,
also
this one is an
on them.
actual Scott Badel. He's a poet, and he writes a lot of romantic poetry too. So I just left that there to kind of
Great.
reference. And on top of this is also their photos of like Bollywood celebrities. And because I saw so many beautiful women posters, so there's a question of like beauty standards that happens in
They
these
have to
spaces, right?
follow in a way.
And there's like a reflection of that media or of that culture, to their identity, to their um, yeah. And there's like posters, there's a lot of them, and they also have like a layer of another fabric stitched together to kind of blur that out and make it white again, make it wash again. So it speaks about maybe the you know, the Western standard of beautification, I guess. Yeah. So that's that piece.
Incredible. And it's interesting that
Yeah.
while you represent this indoor space, the women, they can be, the beauty is something accepted, right? I guess if you put them in an outer space, the it changes, right? Because the representation of women, it's different in a sense, right? Because
Yeah,
the
of course.
beauty is hidden, right?
Yeah, the beauty could be always hidden, or I mean, hidden behind the veil. So I guess like working with fabric makes so much sense in this
Absolutely.
type of subject matters for me, I guess. Yeah.
It's not only the material, but it's also
Yeah.
the subject in a way, right?
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you can say
I
it.
also have, I could also like touch upon briefly, since we are almost done, maybe 5 minutes or so left. I could also show you a small peek of my new project that I'm working on. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's called Bazaar, and Bazaar is also another experience of my childhood being in, or my adulthood being in Tajikistan or Pakistan and Afghanistan. And it was such a liberating space for me to grow up because I had the freedom before the Taliban regime took over, let's say. I had always that freedom to go and be in that space. So for me, I'm really interested to bring that physical space in a gallery and see how I could do with fabric and how fabric could function those experiences, you know. So here's this one piece. It's a very large piece.
Oh, it's in the ground. Okay.
It's on the ground because I didn't have much space. But it's
great.
pretty much goes all the way to the end again. There's still folded and I couldn't have. So they're pretty much like stores, local stores attached on the buildings, which half of them actually fold. I can't really show what's going on there. But yeah, like for example, this one is a fabric store. I guess I'm very much interested. I'm really excited about this piece, or about this whole series.
And in this one, you were not including figures, right? Human figures.
Yeah, this is the only installation piece that I'm hoping to kind of try more how these work could physically engage with the viewer, so the viewers becomes the figure and they could be part of the.
You're inviting the figure to be part of the
as
environment
that you as you're walking this panoramic view of them. So that's why I'm interested. But there's so much that goes in this series. So this is like a very little peek, and maybe hopefully in the future I will share more information about this.
Yes, absolutely.
With you guys and with the viewers.
Stay tuned, everybody. That you can wait to see how this project will evolve and to finally see it here at the gallery. Would be incredible. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I guess we talked about everything that we were supposed to. I guess.
Yeah.
So if anybody has questions, we could try to answer them. Yeah, we are
what
here.
Viewers have questions or anything.
Yeah.
I'd love to answer them. Thank you.
If not, where can we learn more? Well, you can keep posted because we are going to until the show, which will be in November, so we have some time until there. Of course, we will develop when we will introduce your practice every time more.
Thank you.
And I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to see the works live here at the gallery space. And I hope this end of how are things there in New Haven about like coronavirus situation.
Well, it's been so far. It's been very quiet, I would say. I guess all I can say is like, I mean, considering 2 months ago, I didn't have much access to my studio as I have right now. So it definitely says that it's calming down, but definitely not. So we are still very cautious every day for sure. But it's been a strange time, I would say, you know. And I guess as an artist, I do feel privileged and very happy that I have this studio space and for me to create and to continue making work and not to stop, maybe, you know.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, Hangama, thank you very much for talking to us today. It was great.
Sounds good.
Every time I'm more impressed and excited with your work. So, so yeah. So see you soon, I hope. And thank you very much for joining us today to talk a bit about your incredible works. So bye.
Thank you everyone for being
here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Ciao. 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 Yeah.